Whoa, whoa, whoa. Achy, breaky heart. Billy Ray Cyrus there on 96.3 Buzz FM brings us to 11:15 on 96.3 Buzz FM. Now, earlier I mentioned that we'll definitely have a special guest joining us in the studio. And I'm referring to Mr. Damian Wampler. He's the U.S. Embassy Public Diplomacy based at the U.S. Embassy in Port Moresby. Good morning and welcome to 96.3 Buzz FM.
Good morning, and I'm so happy to be here, Kizzy, on Buzz FM 96.3. It's an honor and a pleasure to be with you here today.
Thank you very much. Now, tell me more. We'll definitely focus on U.S. in Vanuatu, but first about you coming over to the Pacific, and this is your first trip to Vanuatu.
Yes, it is. I'm the head of public affairs in Port Moresby at the U.S. Embassy, and we cover Papua New Guinea and Vanuatu, but this is my first trip to your beautiful island. I'm so thrilled to be here. You know, on Sunday, I rented a car and drove around the island, and I was just so overwhelmed with joy to see people smiling and waving and being so welcoming. You know, I know that the island has been hit with two devastating cyclones. I know Judy and Kevin took an extraordinary toll on the people here following the horror of COVID, which took lives and shut down the economy. But you know, just to be here and having everyone so welcoming everywhere I stopped, if I stopped off to jump in the beautiful Blue Lagoon or to go swimming or to see the Cascade waterfalls, everyone was so happy and welcoming and warm, and it's great to be here. Thank you so much for having me on the show, and thank you everybody listening to have welcomed me and my team to your beautiful country.
Thank you very much. Now, talking about your mission to Vanuatu is an important one, referring to a call that Monsieur Kurt Campbell, as the Deputy Assistant to the United States President and Coordinator for the Indo-Pacific, made that call and confirming the intention of U.S. government to establish the embassy here in Vanuatu. Now, you are here with a big group of U.S. experts. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, it's kind of like a domino effect. There's been a long chain of events in the last, I would say, 2 years leading up to today. So, of course, we have Secretary of State Blinken announced the Indo-Pacific strategy in Fiji not too long ago, where he announced an intention to expand our diplomatic presence in the Pacific. And then President Biden invited all of the leaders of Pacific Island countries, including your Prime Minister, to the White House for a historic U.S. Pacific Island Leaders Summit. And at that summit, there was a joint declaration. It was called the Declaration on U.S. Pacific Partnerships, where we all jointly announced our intention to expand diplomatic engagement. I don't know if you remember, but our Vice President Kamala Harris was in Fiji. She said the same thing. We need more diplomatic presence in the Pacific. And then, yes, Indo-Pacific Advisor Kurt Campbell, he was here as part of the National Security Council. He delivered the message again to your government. We need to expand diplomatic engagement. We delivered our intent to open an embassy. And so now my team is carrying out our orders. We have our marching orders. And you may have seen us around town. There's a large group of Americans walking around with backpacks and notebooks, visiting different properties. There's about 20 of us, and we are fulfilling America's promise to broaden and deepen diplomatic relations with Vanuatu. And we intend, like our spokesperson said, we intend to open an embassy here. And that's our plan. That's our mission. That is our goal. And we are doing our best to fulfill the promise that your government and our government have both jointly made together.
Now, the U.S. Government has established a relationship with the Vanuatu 6 years of the independence of this country back in 1986 up until now. But then, since then, we don't have any presence of U.S. government in our country, but we do have it from PNG looking after Vanuatu and the Solomon Islands. Now, with the establishment of this embassy, is it just because of the bigger influence of China in the Pacific Island nations that U.S. has decided to step up and establish those embassies?
Sure. Well, that's a really great question. Thank you for that. I mean, I think it's good to look at Vice President Harris's speech when she was in Fiji. She said, we understand that we need to do more. She said that we, the United States and the people of Vanuatu, we have a shared history. Our relationship was forged and galvanized in the fires and the horrors of World War II. But we have shared values. You know, our people and the people of Vanuatu have these shared values where we both believe in freedom, we both believe in democracy, we all believe in the fundamental rights that we need to take care of one another. We need to have a prosperous, free, and open Pacific where we have strong health, where the environment is clean, and where we all can be happy and prosperous. And we need to do more. And so that's what we're trying to do. The president, the secretary of state, the vice president, they all say, you know, we need to do more. And so we've had an embassy in Papua New Guinea, in Port Moresby, that covers Vanuatu, but we realized that we need people here in Port Vila, here on the ground, so we can meet every day, we can have coffee with people, we can have meetings, we can have that direct one-on-one engagement permanently. And that's what we want. We understand that that's what we need, and so that's what we're doing.
So meaning that this is a primary focus of America to the Pacific to establish such embassies.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see we've made announcements to open embassies all across the Pacific. Secretary Blinken announced in February 22 that we were going to open an embassy in Honiara. February 2023, we opened the embassy in Honiara. So then part of the Indo-Pacific strategy was to open an embassy in Tonga and Kiribati. We have teams who are working forward and moving that forward. I believe we opened an embassy in Tonga. So yes, this is the Indo-Pacific strategy focuses the State Department on this effort to make sure we have more diplomatic engagement. Because if we have diplomats on the ground here in Vanuatu, we know that we can do great things together. We know that working with your government to government, we can make really wonderful things happen. We can bring stronger health initiatives. We can secure and protect fishing and forests and make sure that the Pacific is beautiful now and beautiful for our children and beautiful for our grandchildren.
Now, give us the mission of 20 U.S. officials, experts here in the country scoping around.
Yes.
Now, their exact mission, what do? They look for lands, they look for buildings, what do they do?
Yeah, so there are 20 different specialists and experts who each one has a different specialization. We've got people who are looking at electricity, people who are looking at transportation, people who are looking at fire safety, people who are looking at plumbing. And because having everyone in the same room, we can have discussions and figure out which site might be the right place for our future embassy. We have been asked to expand diplomatic relations very quickly, and so having all of us here on the ground together allows us to hopefully find a space that will be perfect for us so we can move in as quickly as possible.
So you have time to visit some of the real estates or talk to some people from the Ministry of Lands or Department of Lands regarding lands as well?
So we're primarily looking to move into something quickly. So the idea is to find a property that we can move into right away. So that means finding a building that is as close to move-in ready as possible so that we can get diplomats into Vanuatu and working right away. We would love to have an ambassador and public affairs officer like me and other officers and local Vanuatu nationals as staff as quickly as possible. So that really means finding a building, finding a space that's ready to go right now that we can move into.
Is there a time frame that U.S. Has put in place to open up its embassy in the country?
That's a really good question. That's a question that's pressing on everybody's mind because we want to open something as quickly as possible. Solomon Islands, we opened that in 1 year from the announcement to the opening. From the time that we found a building in Tonga to when we opened was, I think, 6 months, I want to say. Mm-hmm. So I don't have an exact timeline. It really depends on what we find. You know, real estate in Port Vila is difficult to come by. There's not a lot of buildings, so we're meeting with as many owners and landlords as possible. Ideally, we would be opening something this fall, but again, there's a lot of variables, so I can't say exactly when we will open, but we have the intent to open. Our team is searching, and the more ready that the building is to move into, the faster we're going to move in. So I'm hoping that we'll have something open by the fall, but it really depends on a lot of factors. I know with COVID and the cyclones, there's a lot of damage, and so really it depends on what's available.
In the recent, the aftermath of the two cyclones, America has helped Vanuatu a lot. And providing relief supplies. Thank you very much from my heart on behalf of our people to the government of America once while you are here in the studio. Now, with the establishment of embassy, you said that it will make it easier for America to have more physical contact with Vanuatu government, and not only that, but also the people of Vanuatu, and observe in regards to climate change, where the government of America is supporting other Pacific countries, but not voting with Vanuatu for ICJ, but assisting Vanuatu in different ways. So with that, America will definitely change its way of assisting Vanuatu on any other sectors?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, USAID, our development agency, did provide assistance after the two cyclones. We provided 384 million Vanuatu dollars worth of humanitarian assistance relief. These were funding for to meet immediate needs after the cyclones came through. Some of it was for shelters, water and sanitation, and assistance to people who are affected most. Providing shelter kits and sanitary kits to people who are affected. Our USAID is based in Papua New Guinea, and in order to get any sort of diplomatic engagement, we need to fly here and be here in person. So if we have staff on the ground, we can engage with your government more quickly, more deeply. We can listen better, which I think is important. The American people want to listen to the needs of the people here. And so if we're based here, we can listen to your needs, and then we can much more easily respond to any requests that you have, to any needs that you have. So, yeah, having staff here is going to improve so many little things that you, as listeners, might not think about. Customs and shipping and diplomatic rules and regulations that are kind of covered under the Vienna Convention. We will be able to implement those, work a lot faster with you. And I think also we will be working alongside your ministries. So not just the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, but all the different ministries in the government will have a permanent partner and a permanent point of contact at the new embassy that they can work with. So when the Ministry of Health wants to reach out, we have someone right there we can meet and discuss immediately. And I think that's really important, to have someone, have a neighbor across the street who you can come and talk to. That'll be the role of the embassy.
So how long the government of America has given your team 20 plus experts here, specialists in Vanuatu for scoping.
Yeah, so we had team members come last week, and they were here all last week. We have a larger team who is here all this week. There's some new people coming in next week. So I think right now it's going to cover 3 weeks, but we're dedicated and committed to being here as long as it takes and getting the job done. So we might go back to Washington, process some of this, and then send another team out to check again, and then to start bringing in what we need to open the embassy. So it's going to be a long process to even open the initial embassy. It will take time, but the fact that we have 20 people here, it's a huge delegation. It's a large group of experts. We're moving this as fast as we can because we want to be able to meet the needs of the people of Vanuatu on your level here on the island.
Now, Mr. Wampler, just in case you're looking for buildings, and we know that in Vanuatu, most of the buildings belongs to Chinese people residing in Vanuatu. Now, what if happens that U.S. Embassy will definitely get on hold with one of the buildings that belong to Chinese? Are you going to accept it and take it as your embassy?
So we have experts here who are looking at all different angles and facets and perspectives for as far as what new property or what new building we're going to move into. These experts know what we can and can't do, and I think the important thing is that we need to have a diplomatic platform that works for your government and your people. We need a diplomatic platform that can help with everything from exchange programs to humanitarian assistance to development work, that really gives you and your people what you need. And so those experts will look at the properties and then they make those decisions.
Now, again, in the announcement made by the U.S. Embassy in Port Moresby, in Papua New Guinea, Joseph Shadrosny. Now, he mentioned something about the Open World program that will give a chance for exchange program, but a particular program which only involve members of parliament. Now, could you give us more information on that? Because he announced that, but doesn't give a time frame for that. Is it going to happen this year?
Yeah, great question. So as head of public affairs, the public affairs office manages all of the exchange programs between Vanuatu and the United States, sending Ni Vanuatu to the U.S. Many of our programs are short-term professional or cultural exchange programs, and then we have a few longer ones. So my office manages 16 different exchange programs, and Open World is one of them. What's unique about Open World is that you can't go online and apply. It's nomination-based, and the U.S. Embassy will select members of parliament and send them to the U.S. on this program. As Sharjeh Zadrazny mentioned, it's called Open World. It's run by a congressional office, so it's the only exchange program run by our Congress. It's a legislative exchange program. It links your legislators and our legislators, your members of parliament, with our representatives in Congress. So I'm and my political office, we manage that program together. We sent 4 members of parliament from Papua New Guinea to the U.S. They went to Washington, D.C., and they went to Norfolk, Virginia. They had an incredible experience. And so, yes, our plan is to run this program with members of parliament from Vanuatu also. I don't have the exact dates, unfortunately. We're still working that out. But that is just one of the 16 different programs that I manage. We also have a program where we will be sending a delegation from Vanuatu and Solomon Islands to go to the U.S. to focus on climate change and climate financing. That's called IVLP. And we have recently announced from the White House the National Security Council, along with Johns Hopkins University, is running a special executive seminar for government officials of Vanuatu, and throughout government officials from the entire Pacific are all going to go to Washington, D.C. This fall. That's called the Rising Pacific Leaders Program. So those are 3 of the 16 programs that I oversee. There are so many programs. The best thing to do is go to the U.S. Embassy Port Moresby website, and if you click on exchanges, you're going to see all of our exchanges: Fulbright, Humphrey, USSP, Global UGrad, CEE, and Community Solutions. There's so many, but they're all on the website. And what will be great about having an embassy here in Vanuatu is there will be a public affairs officer like me who will be living here. We'll have a local staff, and we'll be going around to schools and universities and to the government, talking up these exchange programs and promoting them and letting you know how to apply and when the deadlines are. But for now, please go to the U.S. Embassy Port Moresby website, click on exchanges, and you'll see all of our exchange programs pop up.
So this time, the Chargé d'Affaires, Monsieur Zadrozny, will definitely make another visit to Vanuatu after the scoping work.
Well, he loves Vanuatu, and he's raved about it so many times. He's absolutely in love with all of the islands here. I know he's gone scuba diving. He's in different sites. He went to scuba diving on the USS President Coolidge and a number of other sites. So I'm pretty confident that he's going to come back in the near future. I believe that USAID, our development agency started by President Kennedy, will have an event in early May. And so Chargé Zadrozny plans to come back for that. So hopefully we'll have Joe on the show when he comes back to Vanuatu.
So your trip now is only scoping. There's no interaction with the government officials in Vanuatu.
That's correct. I don't believe we're meeting any officials. The delegation that's in town is mostly technical experts, fire, water, electrical, that kind of stuff. But Chargé Zadrozny will be back in early May, I believe. He'll meet with government officials at that time. I myself am meeting with journalists like you, meeting with the Daily Post, also meeting with alumni of our exchange programs. We've had a number of alumni come back from our programs in Hawaii that we run through the East-West Center, our exchange programs like Humphrey, SUSE, Global UGrad. So I'll be checking up with them, finding out what their thoughts were on life in the United States, and asking them if they can also help promote our programs.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wampler, Monsieur Damian Wampler, as the U.S. Embassy Public Diplomacy based in the U.S. Embassy in Port Moresby. Joining us in the studio now. On the March announcement, there were also the mention of Peace Corps returning to Vanuatu.
Yes.
They've been assisting Vanuatu for so many years in different islands of Vanuatu. They speak our language and they're part of us. But since COVID-19, they're all gone back. But the announcement that they are coming back soon, how soon is that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I understand that some Peace Corps staff were on Buzz 96.3 not too long ago and chatted with you about that. We made an important announcement not too long ago that the U.S. government is going to support the renovation of the ICU, the intensive care unit at the Central Hospital. That is the last step that is needed in order to bring Peace Corps volunteers back. There's a requirement that we have an intensive care unit available for in order for Peace Corps volunteers to return to the country. But one thing that's really important is that through this renovation of the ICU at the Central Hospital, this is not just going to be for the American volunteers. This will be for everybody. It's going to be available for everybody to use. The United States government is committed to improving and supporting the health here in Vanuatu, health of the people here in Vanuatu. And it's important for us to be able to support the Central Hospital. I just had a meeting with Peace Corps Director Penny Alexander. She told me how what excellent cooperation the Peace Corps has had with the Ministry of Health and with the Central Hospital staff. Everybody is very happy to have us cooperate on renovating the ICU.
Mm-hmm.
The money is available.
How much are we talking about?
I don't have a dollar figure. I think the focus is on making sure that the ICU is up and running for the people of Vanuatu and for the volunteers. But the money's available. The renovation is going to start. And as you know, the Peace Corps has to go out to different villages and sites to find suitable communities and families for the Peace Corps volunteers. Those Peace Corps programming staff who I met this morning, they're out in the communities right now, talking to communities, asking what kind of support they need, what they would like their volunteer to do for them, and rebuilding that partnership that ended during COVID. It's restarting. It's happening. I know that the volunteers are I know that Peace Corps is laying the groundwork for the volunteers to come. We hope they'll be here in September. That's the plan.
How many of them?
That I don't know.
Well, we used to have a big number arrive once,
Sure.
but with this, we don't know yet.
Sure. And of course, the Peace Corps volunteers come every year, and so I don't know how many will come in this first group that will come post-COVID, but I'm confident that we will rebuild the numbers because, what Peace Corps volunteers have said is that the families here are so welcoming that when an American comes all the way from the United States and comes into a village in Vanuatu, into a community, they feel welcome, they feel at home, they feel happy.
Wow.
They don't want to leave. Like you said, they learn the language.
They marry our own.
I wasn't going to say that, but they eat your foods. They follow all of your cultural traditions and customs. However you sleep, they sleep. However you wash your clothes, they wash their clothes like that. They live side by side with you, and they're very happy. And
they did compose a song about Vanuatu once as well, involving all the volunteers. So this is something that is so touchy to all the hearts of Vanuatu as well, of giving the right information from their heart and put it in a song. So it's so good. Now, you've been a volunteer yourself before, getting to the job that is now you're on. But what is so important about being a volunteer, and how good being a volunteer as well?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That being here in Vanuatu brings back so many memories of my own Peace Corps experience. I was a Peace Corps volunteer serving in Kyrgyzstan in Central Asia, 1999 to 2001. And I think it was an extremely important experience for me. John F. Kennedy, at his inaugural speech, when he became president in 1961, he said, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country." It's not about what America can give to the rest of the world, but what the rest of the world can do together with America. Because if we work together, we can achieve great things. So I was born and raised in a house where my father was active in the city council. My parents were volunteering at soup kitchens and food bank and things like this. Americans love to help the community and volunteer. It's part of our culture. And when I was in college, I was also part of student government. I was part of the student council that has a president and vice president and mini government of its own. I was always volunteering and helping. And after college, I wanted to help other people. I didn't just want to join the corporate world and make money. I wanted to do something good for America, do something good for the world. And so right out of college, I got on a plane with other volunteers, flew to Kyrgyzstan. We spent 3 months training. I learned how to teach English. I learned the local language. And then I went down to a community and lived there for 2 years, teaching and working side by side with my fellow teachers and my fellow colleagues. It changed my life forever, and I still have many, many good friends in Kyrgyzstan. And I love Peace Corps so much. I'm such a huge advocate that when I was in grad school, I was the on-campus representative for Peace Corps. And then afterwards, when I moved to New York City, I became a Peace Corps recruiter, an official Peace Corps employee, not a volunteer employee, recruiting for the Peace Corps, driving from university to university in upstate New York and in Manhattan, encouraging students to take advantage of this great opportunity that America gives our citizens. And I, being here in Vanuatu, see that the volunteers have really done great things for Vanuatu and for America, building these long-lasting ties, because I know I've followed the Peace Corps volunteer groups who served in Vanuatu, and I follow them on Facebook. They're back in the United States. They still post pictures about Vanuatu. They still post recipes. They talk about their amazing times here. So I know that through times of peace, through times of war, people of America, Vanuatu, are connected. We're linked. We always have been. We always will be. And America is a Pacific country. We have Alaska.
You share this ocean, the Pacific
we
Ocean
share
as well.
the ocean, and I think there's this common sense of camaraderie, and I'm so glad that the Peace Corps is coming back this fall to continue this beautiful tradition that, thank heaven that President Kennedy started this initiative, but it's great that young people will give up 2 years of their lives. Well, they don't give up 2 years of their lives. They take 2 years of their lives to come build relations with communities in Vanuatu. That's a beautiful thing. It's very blessed.
Now, out from America, you went straight to Kyrgyzstan, but coming to the Pacific is your first time. So what was your first impression coming to Papua New Guinea and then now coming to Vanuatu as Pacific Island countries?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been working with the State Department for 13 years. I've been in 6 different countries, and each country is different. When I landed in Papua New Guinea in September 2001, I had read about Papua New Guinea in books because I studied anthropology as a university student. And so I had read Margaret Mead and her anthropological works. She had come to Papua New Guinea in 1926 or 1928 as a young woman, as a young anthropologist. She had studied Papua New Guinean culture. And so I had read about the people, but I never thought that I would come to Papua New Guinea. It's so far away. It's a very exotic place. So when I saw the opportunity to come to Papua New Guinea and work at the embassy, and especially to see us moving into a new embassy, I was really thrilled. When Margaret Mead was doing research across the Pacific, she was studying the people here, but she was also learning from the cultures here and using that experience, using the village and community life in the Pacific to teach Americans how they could possibly raise their kids better and raise their kids differently. So I experienced the same thing when I came to Papua New Guinea. I'm learning a lot from the different peoples and cultures and traditions. The people in the Pacific are very warm and friendly and very gentle, very calm, and very emotionally sensitive and very connected to the water, to the forest, and to other people. And so I think me, kind of like a city boy I've lived in New York City, I've lived in Moscow, I've loved big cities. I've lived in Karachi, all three cities that have 10 million people. The pace of life is very fast. And so coming to Papua New Guinea, the Papua New Guineans and Solomon Islanders and the Ni Vanuatu have taught me to focus on what's important, which is clean water, clean land, preserving the forests for the future so that we have forests forever, and focusing on the people, saying hi and being friendly with everybody, and realizing that all humans are connected. everyone in Vanuatu is probably connected to one another in some way. And we in the Pacific are all connected to one another. Americans and the Ni Vanuatu are connected. We're all connected. And so it allows you to slow down and think about what's important, which is family and our environment.
While you in Port Vila, in Vanuatu, is only in Port Vila, but you will definitely visit the biggest island of Vanuatu that hosting all the American, military equipment during World War II and the famous SS College. You will definitely visit there?
Yes.
The legacy left by U.S. government.
Yes, I want to come back with my family and visit all the different islands, and so I enjoy scuba diving. I went scuba diving on Saturday, and the marine life here is beautiful. Driving around the island, I saw that the jungles and the forests and the communities are so beautiful. Vanuatu is very rich in natural resources, very rich in human spirit and human resilience, and so I definitely want to come back. And hey, we're going to open an embassy here, so maybe I can come back and serve at the embassy here.
All right. Well, U.S. Embassy Public Diplomacy Officer, Monsieur Damian Wampler, again, thank you very much taking up this time answering questions from 96.3 Buzz FM, and wishing you all the best for the rest of the days and the rest of your scoping, and hope you will definitely find a good place or a building to house the future U.S. Embassy here in Port Vila, Vanuatu. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kizzy, and thank you to the whole team at Buzz 96.3 Buzz FM. Very happy to be on 96.3, and hope it's not my last time. Hope that I can be on the show again. And please visit our website, and hopefully when we have an embassy here, you'll be meeting me and other American diplomats. And look forward to hanging out, having a chat, having a kava together, and getting to know everybody. Thank you.
You're tuning into Lunch with Kizzy on Buzz 96.3 FM. Lunch with Kizzy, proudly brought to you by the Vanuatu National Provident Fund. Save today, enjoy tomorrow.